family? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations, where we have conversations that is needed and necessary because we definitely make sure that we're prioritizing. Just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean that the conversation doesn't need to be held. And we all know that. So as you guys can see, I am not alone, and you guys are actually in for a treat because I am actually a fan. You'll find out why in a second. So we are joined here by Doctor, and yes, listen, the correct credentials that we got on the show now, we up in it, okay? Not too
Worked
much.
on them. We worked on them.
Listen, we working on them. So Dr. Dexter Daniel, like, could we first, I'm gonna put an applause here because listen, I am so excited to have you here.
Likewise,
I
likewise.
am so excited, and I'm actually like really excited to chat with you, and also just like want to express to you like how proud I am of your presence.
Thank you so
Uh,
much. That means
of
a lot.
course, of course. So we're just gonna end. Listen, throughout this entire time, I'm definitely gonna make sure that I'm giving you flowers because it's definitely deserved and it's definitely needed.
Well, I gotta pass it back to you because representation matters. So whenever I see one of my own doing their thing in this field, like I recognize it, and I'm very, very intentional about the power of networking and what it means to connect with others, especially those within our community that are pushing this work as well, because we understand the importance in making sure that people have the support that they need.
Yes.
So I appreciate you for doing what you're doing, and I see you as well. So I'm not the only one that's going to get props tonight. You're going to get your props too, and
Thank you.
you're going to
I
work in
receive it. I
collaboration.
receive it 100%.
Good.
So let me allow you to introduce yourself. Like, who are you other than, just like tell us all the things. I mean, like I said, we have a doctor here. You have your doctors in social work,
Correct.
and you are a licensed mental health therapist.
Correct.
So let me
Yes.
let you tell. Let me let you tell.
So it's a lot, when you get hit with the question like, who are you? What do you do? My first response usually is a lot. I do a lot. So yes, my background is in social work. I did receive my doctorate in social work May of 2024. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions that I've made. And ironically, it wasn't in the cards. Pursuing my doctorate wasn't something that I had always intended on doing. I remember back in grad school, I think this might have been probably like my first or second year, maybe even my third year. But I remember like one of my classmates, he was talking about his plans to pursue his doctorate like right after the program. And I was like, what? You bugging. Like after I get my master's, I'm good. Like you can't pay me to go back to school. And then ironically, 10 years later, I ended up applying for my doctorate program. So, all of the things had to be aligned in the right place in order for me to pursue it. And I believe it was one of those situations that God had removed. I'm a man of faith, by the way. I'm Christian, so I believe that it was one of those situations that God had removed all of the possible excuses that I could have used to not pursue it. And when the opportunity showed up, and I was looking for the excuses, and I felt like He had an answer for all of them, I was just like, I guess I'm gonna do it. So, but aside from that, obviously I'm much more than a doctorate. Getting the doctorate is just like one part of what I've been able to accomplish. But when I think about the field of social work, I really think about how much it aligns with my core values and who I am and what I stand for and what I represent. And, I'm very big on, respecting people, helping people. I do believe that my gift is to counsel people, all those things. So I'm just really big on service, being kind to others, even when the situation may not feel like it's the easiest to be kind to other people, but you know what you're called to do, and it's a duty. I'm a family man as well. I'm a father of a 7-year-old boy in second grade. Shout out to my son Elijah.
Elijah.
Yeah, shout out to Elijah, who I worked with him, this past few days on a science project they had to put together. So that's one of the highs that I'm running off of, just like seeing how much work we had put in and seeing how, how much of a diligent job he did with it. Just really proud of him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm really big on service, really big on family, and really looking forward to diving deep into this conversation.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Thank you.
So you waited 10 years. Well, it was a 10-year gap before you actually went back and got your doctorates.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Actually, that's like a motivation for sure. Because I
Okay.
was definitely on the fence and I've been like, all right, I want to go back to school, get my doctorates.
Do it.
And I just been like, you
Do it.
know?
Do it. Do it. There's not enough of us. Like,
Hmm.
whenever somebody's telling me like they're thinking about doing it, I'm like, do it. Unless like you really don't have, so just you having that reaction, I'm like, all right, maybe this might be confirmation that you should go and do it. Because honestly, the doors that have been opening up since I completed my program,
Wow.
I never would have imagined. Just making connections. Again, I'm very intentional about networking and meeting people because you just never know what can come from it, right? And I do think that as a community, I think that we need to band together as much as possible.
Hmm.
And there's something about, it's really hard for me to put into words the satisfaction and joy that I see when I see other professionals in this field that look like me, right?
Hmm.
And especially when they've reached that level as well, and it's just like, man, so like
Yeah.
what it is, like I've
Yeah.
never seen so many DSWs in my life, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
they're all over the place, and
Wow.
yet even though I see more of them now, we're still underrepresented in the field.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more room. Listen, it's a large table. There's plenty of seats for all of us. So yes, go for it. And whatever I can do to be a resource to you, I'm here for you. So
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. If this wasn't a sign, okay, I got it. I got it. I got it.
you got your
Got
son. You got your son.
it. Okay, so we start off all of our podcast episodes with an icebreaker. So our icebreaker is from our very own in-session card game. So today we are going to do the individual edition. So how this goes is I'm going to shuffle the cards. I shuffle the cards so that you don't think that I am like picking one that I may like you to answer or anything. They all say different things. So yeah, I'm just gonna shuffle it and we're gonna see what comes out from
Okay.
it.
It should be fun.
And then you're gonna tell me when to the cards is ready to pop out. It's 60.
So we got.
Right. So I'm gonna spread them out
Okay.
and I hope you can see. Let me see. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. No, maybe the light is too bright here. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And then that'll be the card you answer. So cue the music.
Stop.
Here,
Yeah, that's fine.
this. I'm like, dang,
Get
where's
it.
that? All right, I got it. Hey, family, how you doing? How you feeling? What is up? First off, getting into the sweater, it's lighting up. Secondly, I want to stop and tell y'all that In Session is having a holiday sale. I have the couples edition cards and individual from November 21st to December 26th. In Session MFT will be giving a 30% off discount. 30% off. Listen, you know what I could do with 30% off of a lot of things? Heal, okay? Tap in because In Session MFT has the discounts, okay? We got the discounts, y'all. You know what I'm feeling? Just because I don't know why, just something in my spirit is saying to do this. From the 24th to the 28th, so for Black Friday, we're going to do a 40% off. 40%, listen, at this point, I'm giving it away. At this point, it's giving it away. We're going to do a 40% off for Black Friday sale. So from November 24th to November 28th, we'll have 40% off. No, that's too good. That's too good. for the first 5 people. Because at this point, listen, I got to make my coin too. Hold on. Wait, so from November 24th to November 28th, for the first 5 people, it'll be 40% off. For the first 5 people, we're going to make these cards 40% off. It don't get no better than that. Once those 5 people is up, though, we back to 30. Because, mama got to make her coin too. Hold on. It's the holidays. Make sure that we are giving the gifts of healing. So what are you waiting for? We got the supplies. We got the supplies. Hold on. Let me get it. We got the hold on. Listen, I am ready to bag these up. These could be yours. Support for the holidays. We're ready. They all have your name on it. Healing has your name on it. What are you waiting for? Let's get it, y'all. Happy holidays.
There you go.
All right. So this card says, what has been one of your biggest life lessons thus far?
One of my biggest life lessons thus far. Always expect the unexpected. I think that's the first one that's coming to mind for me. We're in a season of change, right? Summer is wrapped up, weather's dropping. Everywhere. Hey, we feeling it. I heard it snowed 2 days ago. I didn't even know about it. I heard it, as a rumor and looked at the reports and I was like, oh, it really did snow. But, we're in this season of change, and especially like this time of year, seasonal depression is a thing and change is like a theme, right? I've always been one of those people that has adapted. I would say I've adapted pretty well to change. Change has been a theme throughout the course of my life. I've experienced many different things. I've moved around a lot, went to different schools, different jobs, all types of different things that I've experienced. And I would say that for the most part, thank God, I've been able to manage them pretty well. But I know that change is not something that everybody deals with very well.
Yeah.
So with that understanding, I'm appreciative of the fact that I don't let change rattle me too much, especially if it's something that's like catastrophic in a sense. And I'm thankful that I have a great deal of resilience that allows me to endure those seasons very well. And I think the ironic thing about it is the fact that I have moments where I get into like super planning mode. I'm a pretty laid back, chill guy. For the most part, maybe like 90% of the time. There may be people that know me that might be listening to this might disagree. I don't know. Hopefully they would agree with me. But there's that 10% where I'm just like, I'm locked in. Like, I come up with a plan. I think about every single detail, contingency plans for the contingency plans, like all of that. And what I've come to find out is that things are not always going to go the way that you want.
Yeah.
And how you respond to it really dictates how well you are going to adjust to those changes or those surprises. Life is full of surprises, right? And I think that one of the things that has allowed me to get through those surprising moments, those unplanned events, is perspective. And perspective has allowed me to handle things pretty well, or at least as well as I could, and also knowing that God is with me no matter what. So I could plan all the things as much as I want. I'll be up late all the time. My girlfriend knows this too. She complains that I don't rest enough, and I know that I don't. That's something I need to work on. But but it's sound wisdom, and I got to listen to it. But no matter how much planning I do, I always leave room for the fact that anything can change at any given point in time. And even when it does, or if it does, I'll be okay regardless. So always expect the unexpected. That way you don't get caught that off guard,
Yeah. Now, is that something, I'm just curious, is that something that was always instilled in you, or is that something that you felt like you had to learn and adapt to over time?
You know, that's a really great question. I believe it was something that I learned to adopt and adapt to over time. You know, I never really had one of those questions or one of those conversations with my parents
Mm-hmm.
about like how to navigate change. You know, nothing's really coming to mind for me with respect to how to handle that. My dad, he gave me a lot of lectures growing up, like a lot. You know, that's a lot. Like we're talking like 2, 3 hour lectures.
Oh, goodness.
Believe me. So I've been through it all, heard it all. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are situations that I'll go through and I'll hear his voice from back when I was like
Mm.
13, 14 years old. He doesn't talk as much now, but I think he's reached a point in his life where he's like, listen, I done told you all the things I need to tell you.
Right.
Take it and run with it, you know, do as you wish. But yeah, I don't know, somehow I was able to just learn it along the way. And yeah, I think I handled things pretty well. So with acquiring that wisdom, it's actually helped me to be in a position to help other people navigating change or who
Mm.
are navigating change. So I think it's really helpful. So I figured it out some way, somehow.
Nice. Thank you so much. And thank you for your work for sure. I know
Appreciate
that change is not always the easiest to adapt to. And so that's why I asked you that question, just because we are living in a world that is always evolving, always changing, always confusing.
it.
Um, and so to be able to keep that level head and to keep your head on a swivel and be able to adapt to the changes and not fall victim to it is definitely a powerful thing to have for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a game changer. It's a game.
Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. So how I was introduced to you was through social media, which I love because I get to speak to and connect and have community all over the place.
Yeah.
And so what gravitated me towards you is how you show up in your presence and how you connect religion to therapy. And why that popped out to me is because, well, a lot of times people say, like, therapy can't go hand in hand with religion. And I've heard that, people will say, like, oh, I'm not going to go to therapy because I'm going to pray. Or God got me, so I'm not going to, tap into therapy. Like, why do I have to speak to somebody when I can speak to God?
Right.
And I just kind of wanted to get your take on it. I want to know, for starters, like, what made you put yourself out there on your platform to be able to feel vulnerable enough to connect those, and what kind of message are you trying to send? And also, I want to know, like, what is your take on I don't have to go to therapy because God got me conversations?
Yeah, yeah. I think those are some great questions, and I've actually been talking about that quite a bit lately. So I do want to reframe something.
Yeah,
So as
please.
opposed to looking at it as therapy versus religion, I would like
Mm-hmm.
to look at it as therapy and faith.
Mm,
So when I hear religion, I think about a governing body that calls the shots as to what your spiritual life should be like. You know, there's like rules and these regulations,
mm-hmm.
and I identify as Christian, right? If we want to be technical about it, you know, that's the religion that makes up my background.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really subscribe to religion as much as I
Mm-hmm.
subscribe to faith, because my understanding is that, or my belief is that religion doesn't necessarily give me the relationship with God that I have. My faith does. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, I don't know if your background is Christian or if.
Yes, yes, it
Okay,
is.
so all right, so we can talk.
Yeah, we can talk.
Take it
That's
off
why
the
I'm
glove.
just
Let's
like,
talk.
yep.
All right, let's talk.
Yes, it is.
So,
That's why I'm like, yep, go ahead.
you know, I'll try. You know, keep it clean, but you know, all right, now we can really get into it.
Yeah.
So, when I think about faith, you know, Jesus, all throughout the Bible, you hear about the Pharisees, right, who was constantly like questioning him and challenging him
Yeah.
like trying to find a way to trip him up. The way that I have understood things over the years as I've grown in my faith is that the Pharisees represented religion. They was always trying to hit him with the rules and the regulations. You can't do this. It's the Sabbath. And what about this person? And this lady did this and all this other stuff. But Jesus always clapped back, though. You know, Jesus always clapped back. They try to hit him with rules. He clapped back with the power and the importance of relationship. Because really the essence of his ministry, as I see it, is that he really emphasized the importance of us being able to be in relationship with one another, and also, of course, being in relationship with God through him, right? And the way to go about doing that is to love one another, right? You know, it's deemed as, you know, the most important commandment, which is to love one another. So when I think about that, you know, that is what entices me, you know, the importance of having relationship with God first and foremost, by accepting Christ and understanding the mandate that has been put upon us to love one another. Now, if there's any rule that we should be following, I think it's that one, right?
It's definitely that one.
Definitely that one. But those rules that the Pharisees were trying to impose upon people, like they were literally like punishing people through that. You know, if faith, the purpose of faith isn't to punish, it's to build relationship, right? It's to grow and to accept the grace that comes with that. And that's not what the Pharisees were about. So when I hear religion, I'm just like, huh. But I do believe that there is a place to combine faith with therapy, because the common factor between the two is that they both heal if done properly, right? Faith is, we want to start, you want to run, just go ahead and run if you want to run.
Listen, I'm trying to stay in my seat. I promise you I'm trying to stay here.
That's the thing. I don't want nobody to say their seat. Like, if they really feel it, they feel it, because we're gonna give them this message, all right? You know, the both heals if done the right way, and that's essentially what Jesus was all about doing, was healing us, right, at our core, because he understood that, you know, we have a sin problem, and to rid us of that, you know, he had to heal us at our core, which is why he bore our sins and our weaknesses and our illnesses and inequities and things of that sort. So when you think about that, that's essentially what therapy should be doing, not healing at the core the way that Jesus did, in a sense, because Jesus did his job. Nobody could do what Jesus did, but he has given us the power to help others in a similar sense. And this is why I said earlier that my gift is to help people through counseling, because counseling is, you know, listed as one of the gifts in the Bible. If I'm in a position where I can help somebody with their healing process by leveraging what the Word of God says, then I think that healing process can propel in ways that you can't even imagine, right? Yeah. And the Bible actually speaks on so many things that we're dealing with to this day that impacts our mental health. You know, how many times does the Bible say, "Do not be afraid, don't be anxious for anything, cast all your cares onto Him." You know, sufficient are the troubles for today. You know, don't worry about tomorrow. You know, all these things that we're hearing from the Bible, and it's like the blueprints of mental health is actually written there. Right? Yeah. And part of what drives us and our ability to help other people is the love that we have for other people and wanting to see them do well. So me seeing the connection between the two and knowing that there's an audience out there who values faith and who also values therapy, or at minimum who may be therapy curious, right? Yeah. If we have people that can actually draw the connection between the two, your mental health is gonna go through the roof in a great way, you know, in terms of the progress that you're gonna see. So, you know, I'm putting it out there, I'm testing it out, and you know, I don't want to be shy about my faith either. So I'm not on the corner like screaming, you know, with a speaker and a microphone. That's not my ministry, right? Yeah. But you know, I'm gonna do it in a way that, you know, I believe is that resonates with me, that I feel I get to be authentic, and in a way that resonates with people.
Nice. Very well said. Thank you so much.
I was about to get excited myself too.
Listen, I'm just like, wow.
Where you want to open up to? Like, what
hello. Listen, do not get me started. Okay, let's get let's get
We might
back.
go over time with this one. I don't
I
want
have to
to.
listen. Tell me what we do. I have to. I can throw this away. We can tap in
Let's go, man. The globe's the limit. Let's go.
because I can definitely go. Anyway, back
Uh,
to
focus. Let's
all
focus.
right.
Let's focus.
One of the things that I definitely wanted to point out is men's mental health.
Mm, yeah.
I think that there are a lot of outlets for women. Um, could there be more? Sure. But I think that there are a lot of outlets for women, a lot of grace given to women, a lot of acceptance for women not to be okay.
Mm.
However, when you look at men, there's not that many like men mental health groups or the space for men to be vulnerable. And if they are, I mean, we are in like a culture that is now calling men sassy for being
Expressing themselves.
authentically them, or showing a level of emotion, dare I say. And so I kind of wanted you to get your perspective, especially a male's perspective, on the importance of men's mental health and how, like, even as me as a Black woman, how could I do better with showing up for men and their mental health?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm so glad that you asked that. It's a question that I've heard pretty often, especially in the last year where I've been speaking at other events, and people have been asking me the same things. I'll touch on the men's mental health portion
Mm-hmm.
first. I'm I'm so glad that you brought up the need for more spaces to cater to men in that regard. And one of the things that I'm really happy to see is that the conversation around men's mental health has skyrocketed
Mm-hmm.
over the last few years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really great to see. There are people that I watch on social media on a regular basis that I can say are moving the needle when it
Yeah.
comes to that. And they're doing phenomenal work. And of course, there's more room for improvement. Um, there's more opportunities, more improvement for men such as myself to step into this space and do their part to help out others. But I am seeing an improvement for sure, and I'm really really happy to see that. And it's something that does need to get addressed. Social norms has very much so kept a lot of men from seeking the help that they really want to get,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate because when you're dealing with stigmas about mental health or being a man and seeking mental health support, you don't want to have to deal with the accusations of being weak, right, or being considered
Mm-hmm.
weak, or being considered like you can't handle your issues. We hear a lot of things growing up as males, like suck it up, big boys don't cry,
Yeah.
um, all the sort. And when you grow up with that mentality, essentially what it's telling you is that you are not allowed to step into the full human experience that was given to you. And
Right.
part of the human experience is being able to experience all that is coming up from within you in terms of like your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts. Like if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't be human, right?
Exactly.
So to tell somebody to stop doing something that essentially makes them human, to me, is backwards. And then
Mm-hmm.
what ends up happening is we have like this whole, epidemic of men who have shortchanged themselves because they didn't allow themselves to feel or express in the way that they really wanted to. And now they have perhaps done something or gotten to a point where their health is on the line or their lives are on the line. Let's take it that far, right? One of the stats that is so daunting to me is that 80% of those who have unfortunately taken their own lives
Mm-hmm.
are men.
Yeah. Yeah.
80%. Like that is staggering to me. Out of
Mm-hmm.
every 10 people, 8 of them are men, of people that are unfortunately taking matters into their own hands that cost them their lives. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm just like, that is something needs to be done. Like there's something there that needs to be addressed that is not being addressed. And what that tells me is that to get to a point where you feel as though that you have to take that measure implies to me that you've lost all hope. So yes, that is a mental health issue. And I think it's also a hope issue as well. And when people lose hope, then it's going to go left. It's going to go way left. So we have to have discussions about where is your hope? Where are you anchoring your hope? What can you tap into to maintain that hope? What are you striving for? What are you living for? What brings you joy? Right? And these are all questions that I'm pretty sure most of us as men have not really been asked because, quite frankly, I don't think society really cared that much to even ask us. We've just been conditioned to grow up, learn or acquire a skill and produce and then die. Like that's in that order, right? It sounds harsh, but you think about it. I mean, ask like your uncles or your dad, or ask your grandfathers. Ask somebody who's older than us, and they'll tell you like what life was like or what the theme was. Like you grew up, got a job, made money, bring it home, and you do that again for 40 to 50 years, and that's that. And then my biggest thing is people understanding what their purpose is in life. And I think when we don't understand what our purpose is, then again, I think that's when things really go left. We start, wandering, trying to figure things out, and things don't make sense. I think purpose allows us to move with a sense of direction. And so as long as we have that and we have hope, then we're going to be in a good space. So I'm glad to see that there are more conversations lately where men can really tap into that, or at least begin to explore what that is for them. And where I believe that, our sisters can support us is one, being present, two, being non-judgmental, and three, just, being understanding and just giving us grace. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect at all. So we have to keep that in mind. So when we're dealing with men's vulnerability, right, and transparency, you got to be very careful with that.
Yes.
Transparency and vulnerability, in a sense, I think are very fragile to begin with, because once you mishandle it or once you break it, man or woman, you're gonna have a hard time getting that trust back from that person, right? But as men, we got this thing called ego and pride that is on a whole nother level. Right? That it seems like only we as men can understand what that's like for each other. And I know sometimes it drives the sisters crazy. Like, y'all got this ego. I don't know what it is with y'all. Yes,
I'll leave you alone because I don't know, you was tripping.
We have our moments, we have our moments. Lord knows I do, right? But with that being said, when you have a man who is willing to be transparent and who is willing to be vulnerable, and that gets mishandled, I'm not a betting man, but if I was to bet my money, chances are you're not going to get the same man back in terms of the willingness to want to open up to you again. So if you know of a man in your life, this is for everybody that's listening. If you know of a man that's in your life and he is willing to be transparent with you, who is willing to be vulnerable with you to an extent, do not mishandle it. I think somebody being able to bring that to you, I think that's a privilege, right? And we want to make sure that we're in a position to handle that the right way. So that's how I would respond to your second question.
All right. Listen, ladies, we got to do better, okay? So all that is listening, we definitely have to do better. Hey, family, thank you so much for watching, but make sure that you are subscribed. Be sure to like, comment, and share. And if you're listening, leave a 5-star review. Back to the show. I want to just kind of branch off from what you were saying, just to ask you a little bit about children and young boys. One of the things that you mentioned was, the idea of like, big boys don't cry. So what would you say to like even parents. I know you said, you mentioned you have like a young son. Like, what are some things that parents should start to instill in their young sons so that they can have a specific, or the hopes is that they have a specific mental space or mentality to be able to grow into grown men and know how to navigate?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And this is something that I'm actually navigating myself too. I mean, granted, I'm 7 years in the game, but by no means am I a professional at this,
Yeah.
because parenting is one of the most humbling experiences that I have endured. And it will continue to humble me,
Mm,
at 7, at 17, shoot, even
mm,
when he's 27, I'm sure that he'll
mm-hmm.
still humble me in different ways. But one thing that I would stress is that we want to instill in our children, especially our young boys, that it is okay to explore your feelings as far as what's coming up for you. So when I say that, now kind of want to make a call to action for parents to make sure that you're making space for your child to tell you what they're feeling. I
Mm,
think especially in the Black community, I can speak about this from like my own experience growing up, with the whole notion of like, big boys don't cry. I get it to an extent. I don't think that there was any malintent, for people to be saying that, to us, growing up. And I get the essence, because I think parents don't want their children to grow up portraying themselves as being weak
mm,
for the sake of being taken advantage of by other people, right?
yeah,
So I think that there is a protective element or intention behind that, because we want to condition, or yeah, we want to condition our children to grow up to be confident and to be strong and to be
yeah,
self-sufficient, and to not just comply with every little thing. Like, we want them to be a leader, right? We want them
yeah.
to be tough. Um, but I think the way that we go about doing that sometimes, depending on what we say, how we say it, what we do, whether we're consistent or not, can have a profound impact, right? And that can be confusing a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, to personalize it, even as a therapist, I can struggle with this at times too, because I know the skills, right? I
Mm,
know the things to tell other people, but then when you're short on sleep, you don't have enough rest, you're
mm,
hungry, you've been running around all day, 30 different things that you're working on, and then you're hearing daddy, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy all day.
yeah.
It's like, I need
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes at least. You know what I mean? So then your capacity to, be present for a child who, one, may not have all of the language or all of the words to express what
Mm,
they're saying. So you kind of just like want them to get to the point where they're taking mad long with it, and then now your patience is on the line, and it's already thin as it is to begin with. It's like you got to grapple with that, and you have to be aware of your own frustrations as they're coming up, and you got to keep in mind, like, they're a child. Like, there are times where I have to coach myself in my head. A lot of times, he's only 7. He's only
mm,
7. He's only
yeah.
7. He's only 7.
Mm,
And I didn't get that when I was 7. And I'm not to say like my parents wild out on
yeah.
anything like that. My parents are Haitian, so obviously they don't play that. but of course they gave me grace, and of course there were times where I'm sure I ran their patience very thin. And it's no different with my son. But for me, I have to make sure that I'm present, and I ask questions.
Mm,
Say, what's coming up for you? What are you feeling?
like
And
that.
I try to get to the why. Why are we feeling what we're feeling? Because what I'm trying to teach him is to understand what's coming up for him.
Mm,
One, being able to identify what he's feeling. I think labeling things helps, because when we don't know what we're feeling, that adds to the frustration too.
yes.
You know.
Yes.
So this is the reason why I try to ask him questions. Like, a great example I could share with you. One night we were playing chess, and funny thing, he was the one that actually taught me how to play chess. I didn't know how to play chess. My
What?
seven my 7-year-old son taught me how to play chess.
Yo, the kids these days are so advanced. They are so smart. Oh my
Yo,
goodness. Wow.
maybe I should have answered your other question, like what was the greatest thing I've learned. Maybe it was, yeah, learning how to play chess. That's definitely up there. But yeah, my
Wow.
son taught me this on our family trip over this past summer.
Mm,
Um, So I got him like this Mario themed chess set because he's big on Super Mario, and I thought it was a great way for us to connect. And we were playing it one night, and I've been practicing ever since he taught me. I've been like going ham. Like I downloaded the game on my phone.
Ah.
I'm practicing every day. Like I'm nowhere close to being a prodigy, but he was beating me at first. Now I'm just like I'm smoking him. So there was this one night giving him the business, you know what I mean? And then I could tell that he was getting upset because he saw that I was about to win. And I could tell that, that sore loser was starting to come up in him. And he had, I could tell like his attitude started shifting. And, I had to like correct him. I was like, hey, after I won, I put out my hand to shake his hand, like, hey, good game. Like, that's good sportsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to shake my hand. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, don't do that. Don't do that. You shake my hand, right? We're going to be good sports about this. Win or lose, this is a game. The whole point of it is to have fun. And he was like, I understand that, but I didn't want you to win because now you've gotten so much better than me, and it's not the same anymore. And like I could tell, like he was even getting more upset. And I was just like, well, of course. I mean, I started practicing a whole lot more, and obviously I've gotten better. But I have you to thank because you introduced me to this. And he was like, yeah, but now you've gotten better, and you taking my last piece, you taking my last piece away from me is just like my friend Ryder leaving me too. Prior to us playing chess that night, he was telling me about one of his classmates that had moved to Maryland. And he started breaking down crying after he said what he said. And I realized that he made a connection between me taking his last piece and him losing his friend from class. And he was very upset about the fact that his friend had moved away. Like he was in tears. Like we had a hug. Me and my girlfriend was just sitting there and with him and just listening to him. And that was a moment for me as a parent. Like I got chills in that moment. I was just like, yo. And just giving him the space and asking him questions about what he was feeling. It wasn't about the chess game. What happened in chess reminded him of something that he lost that was really important to him. So I was like, wow, chess really is a game of life. I've always heard that. And here it is, like playing it out in front of me. So yes, be present with your children, ask questions, help them to figure out why they're feeling what they're feeling so that they can understand it. Right. So that's what I would say to that.
I think thank you. And this is a perfect segue to my next topic, which is grief and isolation. So a few reasons why this is a topic. Well, one of the reasons why this is a topic is that you were very vocal and vulnerable online, expressing your dealings with grief. Of one of your past clients, hearing that they has passed. And I also wanted to just talk about this because we are now in the holiday season.
Yep.
Where a lot of people, this is a common theme that shows up definitely around this time of year. And so I wanted to kind of get your take on like, how is it that you deal with grief? And is there anything that you would say to possibly like motivate people to not want to be in such isolation and understand that there's more power in speaking it out and community and, being around beings in itself?
Yeah, I think for me, I think sometimes being a mental health professional has been a cheat code for me.
Because
because
I think that same thing.
You understand what I'm saying, right? Because you understand things on a much deeper level. Like you understand it not just from the experiential level as a human being going through the thing, but you also studied the academics behind it, right? Like you understand the research behind the things too. and like the practicality behind some of these steps that we're telling people to do. It's not like we're just telling people, just do this to make you feel good. Like, no,
Yeah,
we're telling you to do this because research shows that it works.
it
And
works.
we've actually broken down some of these concepts, to a T. So for me, I think what has helped me to navigate grief, I think it was a lot different after becoming a social worker, from prior to me being a social worker, navigating grief, because I've when I was younger, there was two prominent losses, or no, three prominent losses I could think of, um, prior to me getting my social work degree. That was both of my grandmothers and my aunt, one of my grandmother's sisters.
Mm,
So three prominent, women in my life,
yeah.
that have shaped my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And, I went through that process, the way that I could. I was I think I was 15 or 16 when I lost my first grandmother, my mom's mom. And
Mm,
I remember like coming home from school that day, and like the minute I saw my mom, like I hugged her and I just like started crying.
mm.
Um, so there's like 16 years, well, maybe I would say 12 years, 'cause I don't really remember much prior to like my first 4 years of life. But, over a decade of like memories that I can recall with my grandmother, like her always being
Mm.
there, her like always giving me, a dollar or two when, I heard the Mr. Softy truck coming around, so I could buy some ice cream. And, I vividly remember this car trip that we all took from Philadelphia to Florida. It was like a 24-hour trip,
Ooh.
and it was me and my cousin and my grandmother in the last row with the least amount of leg room for
Mm.
24 hours in a Ford
Mm.
Expedition. I'll never forget it.
Mm.
Like, you can't pay me to buy a Ford Expedition because
No.
my knees was hurting. Like,
Oh
yo,
my gosh.
Ford it was just like, I had three people in the back row with the least amount of leg room. My grandmother back. So like, I just remember all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my dad's mom, I had profound, memories with her. Like, she'd always come down from Canada, during the summertime. She was the woman who introduced me to coffee. I had my first cup of coffee at 4 years old.
Grandmas always introduce their grandchildren to coffee.
I'm 4 years old with a cup of coffee. Like, who's drinking coffee at 4 years old?
That is so hilarious. I feel like grandparents always introduce their grandchildren to coffee.
Yeah. So I know I'm not alone when it comes to that. But like, I remember that though. So like, in summer times were like the best because, I always had a great time. Like, my childhood, I love my childhood. I really do love my
Nice.
childhood. So, and I'm blessed to say that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, very blessed and privileged to
Mm.
say that. But yeah, and after I've completed, my degrees, um, I look at grief totally differently because you understand like all of the stages behind it, right? You got anger, you got denial, you got bargaining, you got depression, you got acceptance, and an understanding that I think what has helped me to navigate grief is that you you kind of go through it, and then you can always go back to any step in the process.
At any time.
So getting to a place where you understand that, hey, you can feel great one day and then feel angry about it the next,
Mm.
or you can feel depressed about it the next, or you can try to like reconcile with what happened in your mind to like try to get a better understanding as to what happened, and then get back to a point when you're accepting it again. I think what has helped me is to understand that you can be at any stage in the grieving process at any given point in time.
Yeah.
So knowing that has allowed me to release this false expectation
Mm.
that I just have to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah,
You can
like
say that again.
it doesn't
Like
work that
what?
way. Yeah, like, because you want to get over it. Like, you don't want to stay angry. You don't want to stay in that depressive state. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you're gonna miss the person or the thing, right? Grieving doesn't just pertain to just losing people.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just pertain to death or anything like that. Any type of loss that impacts you in a large way, you can grieve that person or thing,
Yes.
right? Or it might be a season or a moment in your life that you really miss. So you can grieve that. So releasing the expectation that I had to get over it and that I
Yeah.
never have to experience these emotions again.
Nice.
I think the sooner I was able to grapple with that, the sooner I was able to endure the grieving process a lot sooner. So even like with my former client that you had mentioned, you know, that was very different for me. You know, I think that
Mm,
probably might have been maybe definitely top three most impactful losses that I've experienced
mm,
in recent years, in the last 10, 11 years, that I would say. And that actually pushed me to test myself to go through that grieving process, as I mentioned, to allow
mm,
myself to feel all that comes with it. And I did just that. So I encourage people to do the same, you know,
yeah,
whatever it is that you might be grieving at this point in time, because seasonal affective disorder is a thing, right?
yeah,
And, you know, this is a season for it. And the holidays, especially, are very tough for a lot of people,
very tough.
you know.
Yeah.
You got Thanksgiving coming up, and you got Christmas and all the other holidays in December, and then New Year's is coming up, which symbolizes, you know, change and a new beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, to be reminded that you can't bring in the new year or do something new without that person or without that thing there present anymore. That hurts, you know, that really
Yeah.
hurts. And then also taking into consideration the weather, you know, the weather changing. It's getting colder, it's getting darker a lot earlier. That's going to impact you. And a lot of people don't realize that. You know, your vitamin D levels are going to go down. And as Black people,
Our
vitamin
energy.
D, we got to stay on top of that,
Yeah.
especially. So, you know, I just encourage people to tap into that thing again that brings you joy, right?
Mm,
That brings you peace, that brings you stability. Stay in community. Do not stay in isolation. That's
mm,
one of the worst things that you can do for yourself, especially if you're going through a depressive state.
mm.
Um, and just allow yourself to feel all that comes up for you, and speak with someone if you would like support navigating and understanding all that you're going through, or even if you just want somebody to just listen to you. You know, one of my helping approach, especially, you know, being in a position where I do a lot of talk therapy, and I
Mm,
do this in real life too, like even like with my friends, with my family, or even with my lady. Um, I just give space for people to talk.
mm.
I really don't say a whole lot unless like I'm in a position where I'm being interviewed, which I love this, by the way. And
Yeah.
thank you for
Okay.
this. Um, you know, I just give people the space to talk, because I've learned that more times than not, people aren't really looking for advice. They're just looking
Mm,
for an ear to
yeah.
listen to them. And knowing that you have somebody that is willing to listen to you does so much of the healing for them, where I
Mm,
got no problem just like sitting back and just like letting people talk. And I'll
yeah.
ask clarifying questions every now and again. One, for my own understanding, and two, to encourage them to talk some more.
Yeah.
You know, because people have a lot to say if given the opportunity. So that's what I do.
Thank you for sharing that. Some of the just like major things that what you said I kind of took away is definitely don't be in isolation, and grief, healing from grief is not linear. I mean, there's multiple stages, and you could be at any stage at any time, which, you know, what you just mentioned. And it's
Mm,
definitely important to know, like, I don't know who came up with the get over it line, but you don't have to. And that's not even realistic, because what happens is now you're forcing yourself to get over it, and the process is still going to happen.
yep.
So even if you're telling yourself like I gotta get over this, no, you're still going to find yourself angry. You're still going to find yourself, bargaining, and still gonna find yourself in that like denial stage. And the process is gonna happen
Yep.
regardless of
It's
what
inevitable.
you're saying to yourself. And then now you're angry because now you can't get over it, and you've been trying to tell yourself that I need to get over it, and you're not. And so I definitely want to, definitely highlight the fact that or what you were saying of go through the process. Like
Mm,
it's okay to go through the process. And it's okay to understand that once you get into a high, there's going to be some moments, because you're not just grieving, like you said, the loss of the person. You're grieving the fact that the memories, the core memories that you have with them, you're not going to be able to create anymore.
you're right.
The memories that you had, or the way that you dealt with a specific loss, you're not going to be able to recreate that again in this lifetime, for anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. Like, I'm just like, that's a huge deal to be able to fathom that this is a person, a thing, or an experience that you may not get the opportunity to do again.
Right.
So it's completely normal to go through those stages. You don't have to get over it. So I definitely am happy that you mentioned that, because I'm not sure where anybody got that from, and I'm not sure why that has been instilled in anyone. But that's like probably one of the most unhealthiest things you could do, is tell yourself to get over something that heavily impacts you. No,
Yeah.
it's very healthy to be able to feel what you're feeling and go through those motions so that you can come out on the other side and understand what is happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to
Um,
remember too, like we're creatures of habit, right?
yeah,
So a lot of the things that we do are things that we've learned.
yeah,
So we're doing things that we've learned from our parents. Our parents are doing things that they've learned from their parents, and then so on and so forth. So
yeah,
it all started somewhere, right? Like that
yeah.
the whole logic didn't just pop up out of nowhere. And a lot of times, the context is important too, because
Mm,
again, I what I said before was that I don't think a lot of the things that um, some of us do or say are from bad intentions.
yeah.
I think a lot of the things that we do, I think boils down to survival. You know,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
showing
I was just
weakness
about to
means that
say.
you're vulnerable, and technically, the word vulnerable means that you're leaving yourself open to attack.
Mm-hmm.
And as human beings, our brain is wired to protect us at all costs. So when you go back and say something like, just get over it, there's probably a reason for that, right? Weakness, there probably isn't a room for weakness here because it's going to slow you up from doing something else. So the quicker you get over it, the quicker you can get back to business. But we've
Mm-hmm.
learned, right, over time that, you're actually shortchanging yourself and you might be setting yourself up for failure down the road because now you got a whole lot of stuff that's been unresolved that you haven't dealt with that's
Yeah.
going to pop back up later on. So
Mm-hmm.
better you deal with it sooner than later, right?
Yeah.
To its totality, and don't shortchange yourself. Don't cut any corners with it. Get to the root of it. Get to that healing place, and then move forward.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm touching on having healthy coping skills while dealing with a whole bunch of social media downloads. I
Mm.
think that this day and age, social media is so much bigger than it used to be. I mean, um, just why, like, this is where we get our news from at this point. Um, and what has been going on, in the media with, literally everything. I can't even name just like one thing. Um, what would you have to say about, like, people's ability to intake so much information, and how should they like navigate, or first off take themselves off their phones, and the importance of having healthy coping skills when receiving certain social media downloads that they are receiving.
Yeah, I definitely think that boundaries need to be set in place.
Yes.
I think what has happened throughout our lifetime, we've noticed that the level of access that we have to other people has dramatically increased.
Dramatically increase.
Like it dramatically is an understatement, quite
Yes.
honestly, because we're able to connect with people that we probably never thought that we could before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think once the internet was figured out um, for public use and consumption, then
Mm-hmm.
things just like really took off from there. And I think one of our earliest exposures to it, you think about AOL, what AOL
Mm-hmm.
did, MySpace, that was another
Yeah,
thing
but
too.
even those times, first off, those were amazing times. Let's
Great
just
time for
start
sure.
there. Those were great times.
Love the
And
90s.
also, I was sitting back and I was thinking, and I'm like, even back when we were on MySpace, first off, we were all like very tech savvy that back then.
We
We
were
were
coding.
learning to code
We
back
were
then.
coding. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we also were outside. Like spent some time online, but we spent a lot of time outside. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, where did this happen? And the people we were talking to were outside with us, you know? So we had like that split. So it's like this day and age is like, there's no split, or the
Yeah.
split is very rare.
No, it is. It is. But, you know, it's not even just like social media. I think it's just all forms of entertainment that has transformed. Like, even like
Mm,
with you saying that, like I'm hearing about connectivity, right? We're way more connected now, electronically speaking, than
mm,
we were, say, like when we were in high school. And I'm thinking about, for example, like video games.
mm-hmm.
You know, there was a point in time where you had to go to other people's houses or have people come to your house to play like a multiplayer game. You don't
Mm,
got to do that now.
yeah.
With the internet, you can just log on. Now you're playing with people in China and Venezuela,
Wow. Yep.
in Moscow, wherever the case is. So to that extent, like we're actually connecting with other people across the world
Mhm.
right from our living rooms. So it
Right.
doesn't require us to have to leave the home to connect with other people. So it's not even just the phone; it's with other things, right?
Mhm.
Even on the internet, like you take YouTube for example, you got people from all over the world that could be streaming the same exact thing, interacting with one another, you know, in the
Mhm.
comments in a live event that's happening. So you got that going on. So we didn't have that like back in like the early 2000s, at least not to this extent. The most we
Yeah.
had was like text messaging,
Hmm.
and we had to be mindful about how many text messages we could send
Through the
because our
day.
plans only let us do a certain
And after a certain time.
after a certain time too. So you have to be way more strategic with that. But now the levee's broke, and now it's just like a free fall. Like text who you
Hmm.
want, whenever you want, unlimited, you know, unlimited data plans, and call
Yeah.
this, and call that. You can call people on social media. You don't even need a phone no more. All you need is just Wi-Fi, and it's just like, yo, it's nuts. So I think that people do need to be mindful about not just how much they're consuming, but also what they're consuming too,
Hmm.
right? Like your algorithm really matters. So what you look at is going to be repeated on your timeline. You know,
Hmm.
so I make it a point. I'm not saying like I'm not enjoying myself online either. Like, you know, I'm seeing funny things on you know social
Hmm.
media, and you know I like to get a good laugh as well. But you know, most of the people that I follow outside of like my friends and family are professionals or experts or like prominent figures that I can actually like learn something from, or
Exactly.
I'm intentional about seeing on my timeline something that is going to educate me or inform me about something or inspire me in some kind of way. You know what
Yes.
I mean? So um, I'm very intentional about that. I will admit that I do have to work on limiting how much time I'm spending on there because I find myself like doom scrolling too, right?
Yes.
Like you know how it is, like you work a long day, you didn't really get a chance to chill like that.
Yeah.
Now it's 11 o'clock. Now you're like, yo, I ain't even getting no time for
I don't
me.
even, right. Yo, that is me. Soon as this day, and I'm like, and then I just find myself scrolling because I want to shut my brain off, but
Right.
then I don't even realize how much I'm consuming.
Next thing you know, it's 2 in the morning and you gotta wake
Yeah.
up at 6. And it's like where'd the time go? So we have to be very intentional about how much time we're spending on there, what we're consuming, because
Mm,
that does impact our mental health a whole lot.
yes.
Because a lot of the things on there, especially with the rise of AI, people are creating
Mm,
things that look realistic, and you know they're running with you know something, you know, thinking that it's actually real, and it's like,
yeah.
you know how the game of telephone works. Like people say
Mhm.
one thing and then it ends up being something totally different by the time it reached the fifth or 10th person.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of false information that's out there. You know, I'm really glad to see that you know there are countries that have put limits on what you can actually talk about on social media.
Mm,
So like there like topics like finances and health, like you actually have to be a licensed professional to speak
mm.
on those topics and to post on it now.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
glad to see
Oh,
that
that's
there are
good.
stipulations being set in place. And even like with AI, I know with ChatGPT, they put out a safety measure where it's now they're only providing you with information that can educate you and
Mm.
not in the sense like tell you what to do, right? Especially
Yes,
when
I
we talk
definitely
about
seen that.
right, like with you know accounting things and health matters and things of
Mhm.
that sort. So I'm glad to see that you know we're seeing some parameters being set in place to keep people safe.
Yeah.
but we have to be the ones in charge in terms of like what we're consuming and how much we're consuming it, because nobody's going to advocate for you more than yourself. And when it comes down to your health, that is your responsibility. So let's not play ourselves and think like we can do all types of things whenever we want, however much we want. And then when we get ourselves to a place where now we need help, and then we started saying like, oh, it's the government's job to, to take care of us. We're like, well,
Yeah.
there are things set in place, yes, but it wasn't designed for you to have a free for all to do whatever it is that you did to get yourself now in this position
Mm-hmm.
that you now have to rely on them to help you get better. No, let's take charge of our own health.
Yeah, agreed. And they actually not even really open no more. So we might want to
That's a
tap
whole
into
nother conversation.
like the whole other conversation. So you
That,
might want to tap into what you can do for yourself because times is changing and that little, leverage that whatever they was doing seems to not be available anymore. But yes, that is a whole different conversation.
mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, I want to know if there's anything that you want to leave the audience with, and if you have anything like worth mentioning, you want to kind of brag about yourself. With like, this is your time.
Well, no, I don't brag about myself, but I am grateful for the people who do speak on my behalf and acknowledge and appreciate my contributions to mental health. And I just want to see people win. I just want to see people do well for themselves. And I'm again just very grateful for connections that I've made. So even just connecting with you, I'm so glad that you had reached out and that we can do this. This cannot be the last time that we do this.
No, it's not. I'm over here brainstorming. Listen,
No.
my mind doesn't shut off.
This cannot be the last time. So I'm really grateful for this. And, I just encourage people to, just do what they feel as though is best for them. And that is in terms of optimizing their mental health, make right decisions, do the practical things, like do all the things that we grew up hearing, get enough sleep, exercise, eat right, you got to take care of your body because what you do to your body actually does impact your mental health as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of times we don't think that is the case, but it's the little things that matter. So we really have to be very intentional in terms of taking care of our whole body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that our whole selves is taken care of. So I just encourage people to do that. I know it's the holiday season. So we got to be very mindful about that. This is a season of overindulgence in many different ways, food, money, all types of stuff, so enjoy yourselves, enjoy yourselves, tap into that thing again that brings you joy. Prioritize peace of mind over everything, right? Prioritize that peace of mind. I think that's really important. And if, of course, if there's anything that you would like support with, feel free to reach out to myself or to Raquel. We're here, we signed up for this, and there are plenty of other people out there that are ready and willing to help as well too. So let this be a call to action to you all who are watching this to not be afraid to take that first step towards becoming the best version of yourself that you were created to be, so that you can live the life that you were created to live. So that's my thing that I'll put out there, and I will shout out. I am doing I'm participating in a panel next week, Wednesday, November 19th at 7:30 p.m. Sponsored by the good folks at We Drive Health and the Greater New York City Black Nurses Association. So myself and my main man, Purvis Taylor III, we're going to be discussing pretty much similar topics that we discussed tonight, understanding the impact that changes have on men in particular, how to navigate grief and how to endure seasons like this, especially when seasonal depression is right around the corner if it hasn't hit you already. So tune in for that. The information is on my page, on my Instagram and on my TikTok as well, and on my Facebook. So information is out there. I'm sure that we'll figure out a way to share with the people. So does it cost anything? It's on Zoom. The link is there to register. The more the merrier. And this is open to everybody, but the conversation will be tailored for men. So come on out for that. And that's all I got.
Nice. Thank you so much. And as I said in the beginning, I'm going to give you your flowers again because I want to let you know that one, I am so proud of you.
Thank
I don't even know the entire history of you, but I am just so proud of your presence. I am proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for your vulnerability, for your just your energy that you give. Just everything about your page just feels very inviting and very safe.
thank
And now meeting you virtually, of course, it's like you did not disappoint. It's just definitely carries on. In fact, it's probably like a lot, well, way better because you don't necessarily talk too much on your page,
I'm
but
working on that. I'm working on that. That's my next step. That's how I'm leveling up. That's my next step.
but yes, but I just want to just thank you for your presence. I don't have like you don't come across a lot of like male figures who is um seemingly as level-headed and even in this female dominating field
Mm,
of therapy. And so your presence in itself is just going to, I could already see it's just changing the trajectory of like the way that men and women see men. So I definitely appreciate you 1000%. Keep doing what you're doing. Please do not stop, please, because we need more of you. Like, we need you to
thank
be able to help us heal and help us see different things and help us connect therapy with faith in itself and help us have hope and still continue to believe, especially in these times where it's getting rough. Yeah, it's getting rough. It's a lot of things going on that's super uncertain. And being able to open, social media and see something that you post, how it uplifts and empowers people to continue to keep going in the midst of whatever we are dealing with is definitely leaves us with a lot of hope and encouragement. So I definitely want to make sure I'm giving you your flowers because I appreciate your platform and I appreciate all that you do. Um,
thank you.
and please, I mean, take breaks when you need to take breaks, but do not stop because your purpose and your passion is felt in rooms that you have not even stepped in. And I appreciate that.
You about to make me start running around this small room. You better chill out now. I'm about to.
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm just like, I need to say this. I needed to get that off. So I'm definitely just thank you. Thank you.
and then thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate and how much fun I had with this conversation. I really did. I really did. Like again, like this can't be the last one. And again, it's so important to have platforms like this. So I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing because I really do think that it can have a huge impact on a large scale. So anything I could do to support you with that, and even with your practice as you navigate your own world and how you're helping people. I hope that you have room for more clients because they're coming your way. All right.
I do.
They're coming your way. Listen, you're in my network now. So listen, you're going to be on my Rolodex. I'm like, oh, I know somebody for you. All right. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you and your support really does mean a lot to me. And what you said affirms me much more than you know and encourages me to keep doing what I'm doing. Because, sometimes we do things we're not sure if it's really going to work. And, sometimes the science is kind of telling you like, maybe this ain't really hitting like that. Maybe you should stop. But, just hearing what you said, really meant a lot to me and it goes a long way. It really does. So I appreciate all of that and continue doing what you're doing as well, too. And just know that you got an ally in me. So anything that you need I can help out with, don't hesitate.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, we could go and give each other affirmations all day because I could keep going. But thank you all for watching. This has been another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations where we have conversations like the one we just had today. So if you are watching, thank you for staying this long, and I'll see you next time.